Welcome to the first match of the Johto Conference playoffs for the GBA. This week is I forgot the teams.
Steelix and Sharpedos.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the city names, and it fucked
San
me
Jose
over.
and Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, yeah, fucked me over. But, oh well, that's the level of professionalism you've got here. So, joining me is the one, the only coach of the Arizona Deoxys, Mr. At least seven good voice impersonations, Gubtack.
Thanks. At least 7, I'll take it.
At
That's
least 7. All right, so we got here, like you said, the Pittsburgh Steelix and San Jose Sharpedos. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Didn't play a match all season, so we don't have any frame of reference for exactly what's going to go down here. Their only scheduled match was last week, and it didn't happen because it's a little bit silly for them to show any cards the week before they're destined to make a playoff match anyways.
Yeah, there were no ramifications to that match whatsoever. Like, it wouldn't even have affected other teams, so there really was no point for them to even bother playing that one.
Nope, saved it all for this one.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting. I think Tom has a really solidly drafted team, but I think Joe's done amazing work with the, lower traditional tier stuff that he's drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I would definitely say offensively the matchup, obviously it caters to Tom. It's just like
He's got power.
Yeah, he has one of the most powerful special attackers on his team, and he has one of the most powerful physical attackers on his team. So it's just like, and pair that with Latias, and then he's also got significant bulk with Blissey and Ferrothorn, and it's a really solid team. But like you said, Joe, maybe not having the top tier stuff, he supplemented it with some lower tier things that definitely have offensive and defensive capabilities.
Yeah, and really good utility spread throughout the team as well.
Yeah.
Like that's an impressive thing. Looking at the team preview here, I'm actually really surprised to see the bulk on Tom's team that I am seeing. He's usually gone pretty heavily offense, in my opinion, for most of the season. If I had to bet on a roster, I would not have said he was going to bring Mandibuzz, even with the significant flying weakness that Joe's team has.
Yeah.
Especially after picking up Staraptor in the trade, you have that. Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get why Tom decided to go so heavy on, well, not, I guess, heavy on defensive. Like, if you look at it, really only, I guess, 2 maybe defensive Pokemons. I guess Scizor could be.
He's got 3 things with a good bit of natural bulk that people normally take advantage of. Say it that way.
Yeah, but I really think the Staraptor Mandibuzz thing shouldn't have been done. I think he probably should have gone with one or the other there.
Especially with Zard-Y, which is yet another,
Yeah, he's got 3 flying weaknesses. I mean, Mandibuzz really isn't weak to, or 3 rock weaknesses, excuse me. Mandibuzz really isn't weak to rock. It's so bulky, and it has roost, so it usually gets the stealth rock damage off. But... Yeah. And he's got 2 hazard, or 3, I guess, technically, if you want to count Scizor, or 4.
4.
Because
Latias.
4. Actually, technically, all 6 can defog or
yes,
rapid
that's
spin.
True.
His entire team can get rid of hazards. But
that is impressive and slightly ridiculous.
I mean, just looking at the team, Mandibuzz most likely is the defogger. Maybe rapid spin on Starmie, but
I mean, I would consider that because why not? Which granted, I don't know that he has anything to set up hazards of his own. Actually, looking at it,
no, I think Scizor doesn't get stealth rock. So
yeah, so defog is actually the better option for him here, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Tom maybe should have brought Kieran Black.
It's done good work for him this season.
Yeah,
hasn't put up MVP numbers, but
I thought it was top 5 in the MVP.
Is it? It may be.
I think it was. I think it was definitely top 10.
Yeah, it's a top 10 thing. For sure. I was gonna say it hasn't put up Hariyama numbers, but
yeah.
It's done work for him every match. It's easily in the positive side of the differential on that.
Yeah, even the resisted hits are going to deal a ton of damage, usually.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested as to what Tom went with this week. I think maybe trying to catch Joe off guard, going with a bit of a different team layout.
Yeah, mixing things up, because Joe doesn't have as much power, so maybe bringing the bulk is the right play here, like try and set up in a position where Joe can't really break through things as easily as he normally can. But
yeah, I think he probably should have brought Ferrothorn though, if he was gonna go with the bulky strategy.
Yeah, which we could be wrong. He could be running,
yeah, these could be offensive
Stormy,
sets.
offensive Latios. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Joe brought what I would say is a fairly standard team for him this season.
Yeah.
I think maybe the Slow King got a little bit less showtime than other things throughout the season, but it hasn't been bad for him. It hasn't really let him down any in the season. So
yeah, it's solid. I mean, it's got Regenerator, and it could do some nice setting up with Calm Mind or Nasty Plot, because Slow King gets Nasty Plot.
Yeah.
But he hasn't played Tom yet, so maybe he saw something with Slow King that could exploit a bit of a matchup there. I mean, with Scizor and Mandibuzz being there, I don't know if it's exactly the best matchup for Slow King, but I guess if he gets those things out of the way, it could be decent, especially with Rd.1 hanging around. You got to have something to take fire attacks, I guess, and really his best option is Slow King. Even though those are sun boosted, that's still his best option.
And it's almost always going to be packing a Solar Beam, so you're not going to want to stay in there too long. But
with Slow Kings, I guess, fairly good. Well, actually, it's pretty good. Special defense, it probably can take one.
Yeah.
The main problem with that is just KOing Charizard back.
Yeah, I mean, he could even run, just a minimal Special D investment Assault Vest and use the Regenerator to get his health back. You don't necessarily have to run lefties.
Yeah, definitely an Assault Vest set could be really crucial, especially against things like Latias and Starmie. Come in, take one hit, and then just switch right back out, or fire something off if they aren't dealing too much damage.
Yeah, and I'd be a little bit hesitant if I was Tom to run Psyshock over Psychic, just because he's got, the physically defensive walls of Regirock and Porygon 2, which can go either way, obviously.
And Mega Heracross has buffed defense. It's actually higher than its special defenses when it Mega Evolves.
Yeah.
So, and then you have Umbreon, who just comes in and doesn't take anything from it.
Yeah, he eats it up, which is another interesting thing looking at it. Tom running 2 Psychic types here.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
He also has, Scizor and probably, I'm sure, close combat on the Staraptor, so.
Yeah, albeit it doesn't get stab, so it's not enough to one-shot most Umbreons, but...
Yeah. It's still not a hit you want to stay in and take.
No, definitely not.
Actually, almost half of his team doesn't want to take that hit. The Porygon doesn't want to take it, the Regirock doesn't really want to take it.
Yeah,
they can. I think all 3 of them can probably take one, but...
Regirock might take 2, depending on the Staraptor set. Jolly Scarf, I don't know if it has enough to 2 a KO a physically defensive Regirock. I think it might just. But because it doesn't get stab on close combat and Regirock's defense is just monstrous.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's packing enough heat to a KO.
Yeah, and I mean, if it can't, there's no way it's going to live anything coming off of it.
No, it's a rock slide. It's just gonna take it out after those defense drops for sure.
Yeah. So it's gonna be pretty interesting. I think this match could go either way. It's traditional power versus a lot of wily kind of guile, clever tactics here, which isn't to dismiss Tom's gameplay at all. He plays a very solid fundamental game.
No, I mean they both made the playoffs for a reason,
Absolutely. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into the match.
Yeah, sure. We'll start it in 3, 2, 1, now. So, we have the team preview for like another 5 seconds. That's the way I edited it. But
that's all right.
So, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what these guys lead out with. Looking at it, I would assume Tom would probably just go with the standard Staraptor lead.
Yeah, it's a safe bet.
Yeah, that's what he went with.
And Landorus, I think, is probably the safe bet there.
Those are 2 pretty standard leads for what they had on their team. So
yeah, fastest things on the team.
Yeah.
Both of them with
U-turn. Both of them get U-turn
options.
But Joe's not messing around. He's just going to go straight out to the Regirock there.
Yeah,
And
no reason not to,
Tom's
really.
not messing around either. He's just going straight for damage. So if that's obviously reckless Brave Bird because we didn't see Intimidate. So
that's a good bit of damage off of that. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, considering that it is reckless and stab though, I don't know. I think that might be a physically defensive Regirock. Just the fact that it took that so well.
It's gonna be interesting. Here, Tom's just gonna flat switch out. No.
Yeah, he's definitely choice something. Probably Scarf just based off the damage.
I guess probably Scarf just to make sure he can get past the Lando. T-Wave on the Starmie, not really gonna help too much. I can't think of any reason he wouldn't be running Natural Cure.
Yeah, I mean, he could be running
a slow analytic.
Yeah, and then maybe went into the T-Wave to exploit that. I don't know. I doubt it though. Most Starmies almost always run Natural Cure. It's just the better ability overall.
Yeah, I mean it's hard not to want to take advantage of an over base 100 speed stat. You know, that's especially in this league and especially against Joe's team, which doesn't have a lot of speed at all.
Yeah.
Especially not this week with no baton past Scolipede or anything like that.
Yeah,
nothing with Tailwind.
It's pretty much just more of a tanky team, more so than one of those quick baton pass teams. But Skull didn't do very much, so that's probably. It is Slow King, so that very well still could be an offensive Starmie.
Now, with the switch out there, do you think that's saying that Tom doesn't have Psyshock? Because if he had Psyshock, that would be a time to stay in and get some easy damage off.
Well, on Slow King?
Yeah, what's it going to do back?
Well, I get it. Potentially could have Grass Knot, and he could give Slow King an opportunity to set up some Calm-Mind / Nasty Plots.
That's true.
So, I don't know, maybe Tom just didn't want to give him anything for free and just wanted to get a switch and, go immediately for some higher damage.
Yeah, that's a fairly good chunk of damage right there off of that Draco.
Yeah, considering, that is Life Orb. I don't know. I think maybe he wanted it to do a bit more than that.
Yeah, I'm sure he wanted it to, but
I don't know if I necessarily agree with the switch to Latias. I probably would have gone into, if I'm Tom, honestly, I guess he probably shouldn't even have switched.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think we could just be looking at a Starmie set that maybe can't touch it. Or not, because he's bringing it back in. So
yep, there it is.
Maybe he just really believed that Latias was going to do a lot more damage than it did.
Yeah,
we do see the Natural Cure, and he gets statused again.
Well, I mean that's kind of the reason why you have Natural Cure, and Starmie gets Recover. So if he's most likely running Recover, either that or he's choiced, and he very well might be because we didn't see Leftovers.
I mean, didn't do a lot of damage. That could be why. He could be running Specs. I don't think he would run 2 Scarfers on there, and I'm pretty confident with you that Star Raptor's probably Scarfed.
Yeah. I don't know. Based off the Ice Beam there, I don't think he's choice, because I don't think he would lock himself into an Ice Beam against the Slow King. That's just kind of...
I mean, he could have been hoping that it would switch out, fearing a Psyshock. Could have been an over-prediction. Don't know for sure.
But even a Psyshock, I doubt, coming off of a Spec Starmie, is going to do more than 20%.
Thunderbolt, so there's no...
Yeah, T-Bolt is definitely the best attack Starmie has to deal with a Slow King. Yeah,
and a crit, he needed that. Crit era.
Oh, wow.
That's what Tom needed right now, though. He's been a little bit behind the 8 ball there.
Yeah, this Slow King's definitely been giving him fits, and now Slow King has an opportunity to switch out and get a Regenerator if it's got that ability. Most of them do. That gives
Tom the free option to recover, though, if he's packing it, and also switch out after that and get rid of the burn.
Yeah, he's really low here. If he doesn't have Recover, then definitely switching out to save the Starmie is the better play.
Yeah. It's going to go out into the Umbreon.
Yep.
And he's just gonna let it go down.
Once Slow King switched out, since it went first, it meant Starmie wasn't switching. So I don't know if I agree with him letting Starmie go down this early either.
I don't either. I think it could have done a little bit more work on there. We hadn't seen the 4th move yet, so not sure whether it was Psyshock or Recover or even Rapid Spin, but he did have traditional Bolt Beam coverage, which is good. There's a
Yeah,
reason it's so popular.
yeah, it's not as good as it used to be, and in the GBA, it's kind of because it's so matchup heavy. But yeah, it's still
Yeah.
great coverage. Still, very few things resist both of them.
Yep.
And Slowking is in fact Regenerator, so this
Yeah.
U-turn probably will do close to
It's
knockout.
all of it.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's all of it.
Yep. So Slowking going down. I guess since Starmie's gone, he could afford to do that at that point.
Yeah. I
Because
mean,
Latios is almost dead too. So
I still would like it to take a Draco if it were me, but again, look
yeah,
at that low burn, and it's gonna take. There he goes. Goes down to burn damage. So
yeah. I don't know why Tom
because of
went.
the user.
I don't know why Tom went to Latios. I guess he just wanted initiative there, but
I mean, he would have gotten initiative. Well, no, because then it goes to a double down, so he can go back out into Raptor, and then he can U-turn out again for more initiative. So yeah, that has to be the thinking there.
yeah. I mean, he could have potentially saved one hit with Latios though, used it as a revenge killer because it won't take burn if it gets in on a freeze like a switch in
Yeah,
after something's
exactly.
knocked off or
That's
knocked
probably what
out.
I would have gone for, especially here because I would be really afraid of the rocks as much as he's been bringing that Raptor in and out.
And now,
And
really, his only option for Regirock is Scizor. I mean, Charizard kind of, but Solar Beam's not going to one-shot Regirock at full HP. So,
yeah,
um,
and he's running Lump Scizor, get rid of the paralysis. That's
hmm. I don't know. I think he probably would have liked to have had paralysis on Scizor, honestly.
yeah, the Slow King's gone, so I'm not sure what else is gonna put a burn on him.
Porygon 2 with Tri-Attack, I think, would be the only thing. And
Yeah, that's
that's
true.
such a
That's
crapshoot.
Yeah,
Really,
that's a crap. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. I think
no.
that's all right. If you're gonna run the Lum, why not use it here? And
Yeah.
like you said, it is really his big option to take down Regirock here. But
It's,
Joe
yeah.
getting the rocks up, so
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess really Regirock had nothing else to do, so might as well go for it.
I mean, this seems like a pretty standardly defensive Regirock. It's just there to T-Wave, get rocks, and level the playing field as far as status and entry hazards go.
Yeah.
So can't blame that. It's a reason it's a standard set because it works.
Yeah, I mean, look at it takes a +2 bullet punch like it's nothing essentially, considering that it's +2 bullet punch.
Yeah.
That's just crazy how bulky that thing is. But Umbreon's an interesting switch.
It takes it pretty well.
Yeah, I guess because Tom still has Mandibuzz and Staraptor, Joe was probably a little apprehensive
to let the Regirock go down. Yeah,
exactly. It's just so bulky against those two things, especially.
Yeah, and with Latios down and Starmie down, he doesn't really need the psychic immunity anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And here's where that steel typing interaction thing matters. Tom couldn't just leave it in to take that foul play. He had to make sure he switched out there. Could have gotten Umbreon out of the way. I don't know if
switching out the Charizard into the rocks is the best move there.
Well, I guess, he figured he's probably only going to get one opportunity to do it, and he might as well take the best opportunity it has to survive. And he probably doesn't have anything to get rid of hazards now that Starmie and Latios are both gone.
Like we said, he's still got Mandibuzz sitting in the back. I don't know why you would bring that with anything other than Defog, but...
maybe if he wants a bit more utility, maybe running Whirlwind, Roost, Brave Bird, and Knockoff. I don't know.
I don't feel like Whirlwind's a good play since, like we said, he doesn't have any any hazard options of his own. But he does get the free Roost off on the Switch and the Mega Evolve on the Charizard, so that negates the Rock's entry. So
I think he probably should have gone for an attack there. Honestly, I think if he had gone for Flamethrower here, or on the first on the turn Porygon 2 switched in and he has Focus Blast, he might have had an opportunity to take the thing down.
If he's packing the Focus Blast, yeah. Joe has run specially defensive Porygon 2 a lot in the league. Granted, I don't know that Tom predicted it specifically coming in. Doesn't matter, though.
Oh, gets the crit. Okay. Well, never mind, I guess. That's an easy way to get rid of Porygon 2, is just get a critical hit on it. So
yeah, get critical Flamethrower from his ZardY in the sun. No big deal.
Well, he's just going to have to sacrifice Charizard Y here.
Yeah.
I don't know that I guess Tom really just wasn't in a good spot there at all. He just kind of had to let something go down, and Charizard Y's not switching back in. So
Yeah. Still with the rocks up though, and pretty much all rocks weak stuff to go. So switching the Zard out, not the best option because he would just be trading rocks damage and taking more rocks damage. So
I mean,
letting it go down was the right play. I don't know if going into the Staraptor was the right play.
he could have predicted Sludge Waving on the Scizor, but then it's like, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna take an Earth Power and go down anyway. So
Yeah.
I did he go for close combat there?
No, I believe that was a Brave Bird.
No
But
way. That was a Brave. I think that was close combat.
it
I'm
might
pretty
be.
sure. Yeah, because Landorus
kinda
is still
missed
at
it, too.
over half. Yeah, I kind of missed that.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah, that.
Yeah, you're probably right. It probably was a close combat.
Yeah, I think Brave Bird probably would have taken it down.
Yeah.
So
Now he goes into the Scizor. Not gonna be in bullet punch range.
No, if he had Brave Birded that thing, it would have been. But
yeah. I guess maybe
I don't see any reason for Tom to have gone for close combat there.
Nope, because he's got Paracross. I mean,
even if Regirock
Umbreon
comes
still
in.
Around?
Yeah, but even if Regirock comes in, a Brave Bird plus a close combat at the range it was at would probably still take it down.
But like we said, he's most likely choiced, so he kind of had to go.
That's true.
He had to lock himself into one, and I guess he was just predicting the switch, and unfortunately did not go the right way on that. But Brave Bird from the Mandibuzz, which
definitely knocks Landorus out. So
yeah, I wish he would have brought this in earlier. I think he could have salvaged a lot more of his team had he brought it in on the Porygon. Because it can take a hit, it can take an Ice Beam, it can take a Tri-Attack. It's got the natural bulk. He could have got rid of the rocks, and
it pretty much takes any super effective coverage move.
Yeah.
Stab attacks are a bit of a different story, but an Ice Beam off of a Slowking, I think it should be fine.
Yeah.
But this is Tom's last, I think, so it really just comes down to whether or not he's going to get some critical hits at this point.
Yeah, it goes for the knockoff, which is, a good move. He needs to limit any and all recovery options anyone has.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm actually surprised Joe didn't just switch to some death fodder here. I think Umbreon is still sitting around at like less than half and just let that thing go down, and then maybe get a free switch to the Heracross and just Rock Blast.
That's true, but physically defensive, I'm not sure, on stab, even from a Mega Heracross, that it's going to be doing all that much more. Regirock's got a, really good, decent natural attack stat. So, also, with Rock Slide in here and it being paralyzed, he's going to outspeed, and there's the chance for flinch, which would cut down on the potential for it to roost back up.
Yeah, I mean, it really is just semantics. At this point, I think Joe's pretty much got it in the bag. Some crazy stuff would have to happen here for Tom to be able to pull out a win.
You don't see very many, 3 run-back Mandibuzz sweeps. That's
especially against a team with Regirock.
Yeah,
and that flinch there is just kind of insult to injury at this point.
It is, but it's a thing he needs to speed it up. So
yeah, it's just really a formality at this point, I would say. And Tom's gonna go for another roost. So.
No, he's gonna play it all the way through.
It's the playoffs. You might as well.
It's the playoffs. We've seen ridiculous things happen before. We've seen John and Joe with the paralyzed Sylveon that came back and ran through half of Joe's team. We've seen
Shady with Mamoswine beating Kyle, just a 5 Pokemon sweep.
Yep, straight up on and off. That's how you got to play it. You got to play the match all the way through, unless you really 100% know. Okay, I don't have any attacking moves. I can't win.
Yeah, and
kind of thing.
Essentially that's where we're at here. Knockoff, because there's no item, isn't doing a lot. Brave Bird's not very effective.
Super resisted and massive physical defense.
And then he's also got Heracross, so close combat's probably going to deal easily over half, so I really don't think there's much hope for Mandibuzz at this point.
We haven't seen we've seen Roost, we haven't seen Defog. There's no point for him to defog since it's the last thing out here now, but that does mean, no Toxic, assuming he's got it, which Toxic
if he had it, he would have gone for it. Yeah, if he had Toxic, he definitely would have gone for it by now.
He possibly could have won the match if he had Toxic.
Maybe. It really depends, because he got paralyzed, that's really going to throw a monkey wrench into dealing with Mega Heracross.
But it's also going to let him stay untoxic if he had Toxic the Umbreon, because no Synchronize. So, it would have come down to if the Mega Heracross could have done work, or, can it take a Brave Bird?
No, but at the same time, the recoil damage...
it would probably die.
Yeah,
it would take the Rock Blast beyond very little and then die to. But if he played it right, it's possible.
Yeah, it would have been a long shot regardless of whether or not he has Toxic on the set. It's just really at that point it was pretty much over, and pretty straightforward game though. I mean, there's a little bit of hacks in there, but overall, I think
Tom was a little bit behind the 8-ball for a lot of the match there, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I would say arguably some of it was team selection, in my opinion. I think he brought a strange team that isn't reflective of the play that got him here.
No, I really think that he probably expected a different matchup, and that didn't come to fruition. And what he brought just didn't have quite what it takes to break through what Joe had. He
didn't have the right matchups, basically.
And sometimes that's what it comes down to in the GBA. Is it's not even you played bad; it's just the matchup wasn't there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, Tom made a couple of questionable plays, but he made, a lot of very traditionally good standard plays throughout the match too. Unfortunately, I don't really think Joe made a bad play there too much.
No. I think really his team really wouldn't allow him to make a bad play. Like, the only bad play I could see him making is maybe leaving Heracross in on a Brave. Like, that's not happening. Just Joe is not stupid. And I think his team was just really solid this game. It just had a really good matchup. I mean, Slow King did a ton of work in the early game, and that really, I think, just set Tom back to the point where Joe was just able to maintain that offensive momentum throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, it really did. That Slow King and Regirock pretty much, between the two of them, they just so happened to really shut down pretty much all of his options, and then kind of a backup defensive core of Umbreon and Porygon 2 there. He basically had two sets of defensive walls on both sides, and
I mean, just watching that game, Mega Heracross didn't even come in.
Didn't touch the field. No,
Landorus really didn't do much either.
He did one Sludge Wave
on Charizard.
To revenge kill that
at 30%. So I mean, really, it was much more of a defensive effort for Joe's team.
It really was. Tom just unfortunately couldn't get the traction, couldn't break down those walls.
Yeah.
But like you said, sometimes you just don't get the matchup. You prepare for one thing and they bring another. That's a very hard part of this. So that means that next week we're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelix going up against the New Orleans Pelippers, John, a.k.a. Pokemon, who that's going to be interesting. Joe hasn't beaten them yet this season. They've played 2 matches this season, and Joe's had a very crushing defeat in the first week and a very tough loss in the second match, losing to that paralyzed Sylveon.
It's going to be interesting to see if Joe can, get that win after losing to John twice. Maybe a bit of a psychological factor going on there. Joe maybe thinking
he's got to be hungry for it. He's got to be hungry for it. That's how you have to go into it, right? You can't go in with the defeatist attitude of how am I going to beat this team, which is hard because, John inherited a great team.
Oh, yeah. And if you're in the playoffs and you're not hungry, like, what are you doing in the playoffs? Someone else should get your spot then, because, like, you're 2 games away from the championship if you're Joe. And it's like you beat Tom. Now it's just on to John. And I think Joe has the team to do it. I think, John
we've seen it. The last match was very close.
Yeah.
The match was very close.
I think the first week it was kind of just... I can't say Joe was thrown off guard because he was still playing the same Pokemon. He was just playing a different person.
And he was thrown in into the deep end. It was both of their first time using the format, like it's
they've both made a lot of strides. And I think this will be both of their best game, and I'm just really excited to see what teams both of them use and how they go about exploiting each other's weaknesses.
Yeah. Now, you've played both of them before in the preseason, so
Yes.
assuming you make it past your playoff opponent, who do you want to play less?
Honestly, I think my team can beat either. I was 1 HP away from beating Joe. I did beat John, albeit John came at it with a vanilla game plan, so I'm not going to count that game much. I would be happy with either game, though, because I think I have something to prove against both guys. I didn't beat Joe, so I want to beat him, and I did beat John, but it was a game that didn't matter.
Yeah.
John really didn't. It didn't matter to John. So
you didn't beat Hungry John.
Yeah,
I'm locked in. I need to keep this close to my vest, John.
Yeah, so. If either guy gives me their best game and I give my best game, I'm happy with it. But I can't overlook Nick. That's probably going to be the toughest game of the year for me.
I said it in the last video. Nick is kind of the mad wizard genius of the GBA. I think he goes and he boils his cauldron of damage calcs, and you're not really sure what he's thinking, and then he comes out and just...
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Nick brings, but I'm just excited to see John and Joe play, and obviously for my game, so...
Yeah, I think they're all going to be good games. I think this was even a good game. Like I said, it was a fairly straightforward game, but it was still a good one. Not as down to the wire as
not nearly as dramatic as the Johto Conference, but
no,
that's kind of been the narrative, for the Johto Conference all season.
That has been the story of Johto Conference.
Yeah.
One person
it's been
wins
pretty cut
and the
and
other
dry.
person does not.
Yeah. Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if that narrative holds on to next week. Hopefully, we get a little bit more drama in there. That would be nice. But maybe the comeback story of the 0-2 Pittsburgh Steelix.
Yeah.
Or just the undefeatable, potentially 3-0 New Orleans Pelippers.
King of the Johto Conference. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
The Emperor, whatever you want to call him.
Big bad Black Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it for the video, We've said all we need to say.
Wraps it up. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, leave comments. Let us know what you thought about the match, what you think is going to happen next week with the match going on, and hope you enjoyed it.